Hey everyone, we are reporting from the floor of the Democratic National Convention, and joining us is Florida Senior Senator Bill Nelson. Senator, are you having a good time here?
I think everybody is really unified now, and everybody from Florida is having a good time.
Well, let me ask you about what the process that you've seen over the last few days, because we got off to a very rocky start when, after the WikiLeaks leak and at the Florida breakfast with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, when she was basically booed off the stage and chased for the room. A lot of time and a lot of water has gone over the bridge since then. What kind of sense are you getting, at least from the Florida delegation, because there were a lot of Bernie or bust folks in that crowd?
Sure, there was a kerfuffle that started with the release of the emails, and you saw that kerfuffle in the first night of the convention, but you didn't see that last night, and as a result, what you're seeing is what you want to do in a big national political convention, and that is bring everybody together, and that is happening in front of our eyes.
A lot of Bernie or bust people just walked out, so there was no interruptions when Secretary Clinton made her address. Most reporting I have seen is that a majority of Bernie supporters will come around and support Secretary Clinton. Are you concerned about those who say they still won't?
No. As a matter of fact, you saw all of that start to turn around on Monday night with Michelle Obama's speech, and then followed by Bernie's speech. And as a result of those two, all of that protest, whatever you want to call it, has dissipated. Now, the serious question is, what about the release of the emails? What are the Russians up to? The Russians are good. They're better than anybody else. But there's one that's better than the Russians, and that's the United States.
Well, let me ask you this, because there has been some reporting, and I believe it was even George Will who raised this as a question about whether Donald Trump has any connection to the Russians because he has spoke so highly of Vladimir Putin, and it appears that, is it a returning of the favor? Do the Russians, would they like to see Donald Trump win? I mean, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, of course, I don't know the answer to that, and nobody really does, but that'll come out in time. But what I was starting to say is the Russians know that we have the capability to shut down most anything in a cyber attack, and so they're only going to go so far. We'll see what this next dump that's coming, but I think, it's also the assured destruction. You do it to us, watch out, we're coming after you.
And what you're referring to is that there is talk that there will be another dump of WikiLeaks emails referring to the DNC, or could it be other things?
Yeah, WikiLeaks kind of dresses it up. This is Russian intelligence. They're the ones that broke into the DNC system. And that's why we're in a different world. It's called cyber attack. And when we invoke cybersecurity, it's always not enough, because there's always something else going on. So what you've got to have the capability of in the United States of being able to hit them so hard where they don't want to be hit, that they will resist coming after you. The Russians are the best. The Chinese are next. And then you get the various other players, including, increasingly they're trying, is Iran.
Well, how concerned are you? Because a party, whether it's the Democratic or Republican Party, wants unity of messaging coming out of their convention. And Donald Trump has basically evened up Secretary Clinton in the polls. You would assume that you would want a bump coming out of the convention. If there's another document dump, and it's embarrassing, that would step on that ability, would it not?
Well, it would, but this is the world in which we live. And by the way, I disagree with you that in Florida, Trump and Hillary are even. I don't think they are. And I think at the end of the day, which is Election Day, I think Hillary will probably be ahead by 5 points in Florida.
But the public polling done in the last couple of days does show that in Florida it has tightened up, whereas before the FBI director's report on Secretary Clinton's email situation, the secretary did have a substantial lead in Florida.
You know, polls, and then there are polls. Some of them, Florida is a very complicated state to poll. You've got to have the exact right mix of Democrats and independents and Republicans. You've got to have the ethnic mix right. You've got to have the geographical balance. A lot of these polls just get a sample that is not accurate of the people that are going to turn out by Election Day. And I think I know Florida. I think it's going to be Hillary is going to win.
You are unique in Florida because you are the one Democrat who has won statewide races, not only in presidential years, but in midterm elections, because you appeal to both Democrats and Republicans. What kind of advice would you give Secretary Clinton, not only in Florida, but from around the country? Because obviously she is a polarizing figure, and the polling bears that out.
Well, my first advice would be, and I think she already knew it, pick someone who is genuine as your running mate. That's the first major decision in the campaign. Tim Kaine is one of my best friends in the Senate. He and I see eye to eye on a lot of things, and he is solid to the core. You get a bonus. He's fluent in Spanish. And as a result, I think that's going to come through. And I think Tim brings out the best out of Hillary. And I think we're going to see that. I think we already saw it in Miami on the stage.
Right. But that pick certainly has not lit up the progressive crowd that was hoping for something a little bit different.
Now, see, that's the kerfuffle. An election is a contrast. It's between basically two people. And those folks that want to have someone who is down the line on a litmus test of their liberal test, they're going to have Hillary and Tim as a choice against the other side. And that's just going to go away.
What are you expecting tonight? Obviously, this is the president's last address as president before the Democratic National Convention.
I think you'll see an outpouring of love and respect. The president has been an elegant president, and he stayed above a lot of this. Oh, look at what the attacks against him have been over 8 years. And I think as a result, I think you'll see a unity here that is unmatched. You will also see tonight the love being expressed for Joe Biden.
Well, I guess that's our cue. They're practicing some music. So, Senator, thank you very much for joining us, and we will be back in just a moment.